Welcome back to the Small Biz Matters stand here at the Accounting and Business Expo. I'm very glad to be welcoming a panel in front of me today, and we are talking all about the importance of small business education, which my regular listeners will know is absolutely important to me. I've got Brian from Xero, Joseph from Go Cardless, and Tim from Spin Business Solutions. Now tell me guys, what were you imparting, what knowledge were you giving, Joe?
Yeah, so we were talking about how businesses and especially accountants who maybe are looking into going into the app advisory space or maybe have done so before and struggled slightly, the kind of key learnings about how do you demystify the 700 apps in the ecosystem and maybe get your house in order first and build that foundation before starting the advisory journey. So great to have Tim and Brian and Heather on the panel with us, and we really explored some of the things that they've learned, as well as some things to watch out for.
Now, Tim, in your implementation of this, you have a bookkeeping practice. It's quite a big undertaking, isn't it, to implement a new piece of software? You have to have everybody on board. What are some top tips you would give for people who are starting on that journey of choosing the right software for their business?
Thanks, Lexi. I think the first thing you need to start with is clearly understanding what your strategy is and what it's going to deliver. So if it's something to do with expense management or to do with payments or to do with payroll or something within your business that you potentially are going to then push out to your clients, you need to be very clear about the strategy. You need to be very clear about the outcomes you want to deliver and what benefit it'll bring in terms of perhaps productivity within your practice, but also for your clients, and then ease of use. So be true to that strategy when you're going out and searching for the right apps within each of those categories.
And Brian, you're coming at it from Xero's perspective. The Xero marketplace is bigger than Ben-Hur these days. I mean, you even have to filter just to filter. And there's so much on offer, and obviously all these great products integrate beautifully with Xero. We all know how fantastic and easy it is for these products to integrate because it is the single source of truth for businesses. What's your top tip for businesses who really are looking at the marketplace for the very first time?
Yeah, I'll sort of rewind to Tim's point, like what are you actually looking to solve and start there. So where are you stuck? Where have you got bottlenecks in the business? And then you can sort of dig into the Xero marketplace about what features do they have in particular, whether it's industry-based or a vertical for yourself as an accountant and bookkeeper or for a small business, and then go down that path. So kind of consider the journey of what you're sort of looking to do and unravel, and you don't have to do it all at once. So to Tim's point, you're going to start looking in one vertical or one part in particular, explore the app marketplace. There's reviews in there to try and build confidence about what customers are liking and loving. Look for case studies from the app partners themselves, and then start to navigate your way through that way. So what we're trying to do in lots of different ways is trying to, the question we have, who feels overwhelmed by apps, is becoming increasingly more and more as we've got lots of solutions in the marketplace, but we're aiming to try and navigate that down to a smaller funnel to make the decision process easier.
And so there are filters on offer. You can look for a particular subject that you're trying to solve. You can look at the reviews and how people have used them as well. Is talking to another professional that you know well or has a similar business to yours a good port of call as well?
Yeah, and in the panel we spoke about case studies and those. A lot of the app partners and partners which are here today at ABE, they've got a number of case studies on their websites, which I'd encourage you to dig into and try and compare. If they've got a similar firm to you or doing similar things and they're using these applications, then there's likely that you're going to be able to get a lot from that and lean on that. We're in the age of reviews, so dig into that and look a bit deeper.
Well, that's great. And Joseph, tell me from your perspective, you're here from Go Cardless, relatively new to the marketplace here in Australia. How have you found the integration and being, absorbed into the Australian market? How have you found that?
Yeah, I think what we've learned, not just from launching here, but launching elsewhere, is you have to have a different approach and you have to be very specific to the market that you're in. And that comes from the wording that we use, the way that we communicate, but also the kind of key issues that people are facing out here, whilst on the surface they seem very similar in that cash flow comes up and people aren't getting paid on time, there's actually far more deep-rooted issues here that may be outside of our control. So I think we've been so thankful for the reception we've had. The support of people like Xero helped massively within that, and we're really thankful for their help. But also, the Australian public are really great at saying, hey, I want to chat and I want to learn more about what you do, and you know what, I'm going to challenge you on what you say you can do, and that is such a refreshing angle to look at, and one that's really helped us settle in, and we've had some good growth to start with, but there's still a long way to go for us to deliver on what we say we're going to deliver on.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, and interestingly, you segued nicely into that. As someone who's new to the marketplace and not maybe familiar with the way Australian businesses operate or freely give advice, what would be your tip to someone who's starting out in that app world to prepare themselves for not only Australia, but I guess the marketplace as a whole? What's some great top tips for someone starting out?
Yeah, I think I have one real golden rule, and this is for people that are moving internationally or opening a new product, and that is to just assume that you have no right to be there. And I think the mistake that some people make is that they come in and have a divine right to be in the ecosystem or to win customers, and actually you have to over-deliver on things like customer support. You have to over-deliver on things like getting people set up to begin with and things like that, because I think back to Brian's point, there are so many apps that do something quite similar, and you can very easily move from one app to the other, which is awesome because it means that the customer has the best products on offer all the time, and you can't fake it. But it also means that if you come into the market and you create a bad first impression, you're going to be crucified, and you have every right to be crucified. So you have to be very mindful of that, but also, you know, what works in the UK in terms of people's attitude to email and the attitude of the way that you communicate with them is also something that if you don't do your foundational work and you don't actually get out there and speak to people, again, you're setting yourself up to fail. So I think that they're kind of my golden rules, is to assume that you're an imposter until you're told otherwise.
Tim, can I just come back to you a quick question about the swapping and the changing element that Joe alluded to? To me, if you're running a business, it's quite risky to swap and change, but do you think you equally need to be open to that if something's not working?
Okay, I think there's probably two parts to that. One is that, and we talked about this on the panel, if in your practice you have high penetration of the app across your customers, then flipping and changing becomes harder. So I think the good thing about that is that you then, any new product that comes along, you have to rigorously review and test before you start to think about any change. So for me, and I speak about this a lot, the Receipt Bank situation with HubDoc. So we had 95% penetration of Receipt Bank across all our clients, and HubDoc came to town, and I know the guys really well, and they've got a fantastic product. But I wasn't in a position to flip, and you know what? They completely understood that, and that was important for us to have that conversation up front, rather than me promising something that I could not deliver against, or going to my customers and trying to flip around. We worked hard to get high penetration with Receipt Bank, and it was delivering. Now, in the future, if something doesn't deliver, then it potentially is time to change. But understand that change will take a lot of time and effort and money and learning on behalf of everybody and all your customers. So you have to be very, very careful in terms of that. Same thing with things such as payment gateways. We were at 90+% of people on direct debit. Now, the interesting thing for me, is that area is changing dramatically. And what I always looked at is how easy is it for the customer to use at the end of the day, as well as how it delivers for us. And to be frank with these guys from Go Cardless, their product really delivered and was spot on and was really simple and easy. So for me to pick that up, and make a decision on that was really much easier.
But you did your research first, right? You really looked at that, how the client integrated, how the client was going to implement it. I mean, we've got a level of knowledge far and above what the client has, and you have to look at it from their perspective. How simple is it going to be to roll
And I think
out?
you really have to be clear about the business plan in your business and the strategy that you have, and you stay true to that. And it's really easy. There's a lot of great apps around. There's a lot of great providers. There's a lot of great people. But you've got to kind of be really clear about what your business is delivering in the marketplace and how you're going to deliver that service the best possible way.
Just finishing off with you, Brian, in terms of Xero's presence here, why do you think having a stage and giving this sort of education out helps to build relationships with your accountants and your bookkeepers?
Yeah, I think it's a really powerful event with a large lot of people, especially in Sydney and surrounds, coming down to it. And it's great to engage with our existing partners, have a chance to speak face to face, beyond emails, phone calls, and the back and forth. And what I like the most and what we like to build is the sense of community around. And seeing the accountants and bookkeepers chatting to each other and about what are you using, and seeing that engagement, whether at the lunch breaks, before, during and after, is really powerful, because what we're doing is we're raising the tide for everybody, and it's good for the small business economy.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, guys, and enjoy the rest of your time here at the Accounting and Business Expo. You've been talking to Small Biz Matters here at the stand. We are at B34. Anybody who wants to come and join us. And for those of you who are interested, there are a bunch of panels. There's stacks of information out there. Go and educate yourselves by listening to the speakers, listening to all these experts, and, of course, by listening to Small Biz Matters, your #1 small business education channel.